it's me. I'm sorry that I haven't made a video in a long time, and be prepared in advance to like hear a bunch of laughter in the background because my sister likes to make fun of the way that I talk. Because she's in here and I am not good at talking. Obviously, if you've seen my videos before, you know that already. Anyway, what'd you say?
We done been new.
We done been new. Yeah, exactly. So this piece that I'm working on in this, the reason that it's already like messy is because it was a page I like wiped some ink on. There was a situation where I felt like I dumped ink like everywhere, and I just ended up wiping it up with a cloth and wiping it on a bunch of pages. This is the first journal entry I actually used my technical pens with, and I was just having a little bit of fun with them. It's not perfect for using on like a textured paper like this, so I was just writing about clutter and how obviously you will notice that I've been talking about this family stuff and hoarding and clutter and blah blah blah. This particular journal entry is actually about that specifically, and how we use acquisition as like I don't know, as a society. I guess I think it's more Western, but it's getting like to the point where it's more universal now. But about just like we get something and we're not happy with it and we move on to the next thing. And think I talked a little bit about this before when I was talking about makeup and like how when you like get that palette that you want and it's like that eyeshadow palette that's like super awesome, and then another one comes out from a company you like or has some colors in it and it's like you want that one too. And it's like you realize you haven't even touched the one that you just got. And we're like getting programmed into that mentality more and more and more every day, especially with YouTube. And I go into this a lot, especially with I want to talk about and I don't want to drag anybody down. That's not what I want to do. But I want to talk about other YouTubers that like I won't call them hoarders because I will say that like it is their job to buy things, but they will literally decide that they need a product and they'll buy every single one of them. And then in their videos, and so it's not a problem for the YouTubers, but in their videos, they'll use these products and of course have affiliate links, but like they will have these products. And some of them will be like, you know, they won't give alternatives for what you could use for this. And obviously, if you're a smart enough artist, you can, you know, figure it out yourself and it's not really a big deal. But if you aren't and you're just watching these videos and you want to make stuff like that YouTuber, and especially in mixed media, I see this a lot where people want the exact same thing that artist used because they literally want to make the same thing. It's like those Bob Ross classes that they used to teach at Michael's and stuff where you know, somebody will buy this metallic paint set and they have every single color because the company sent it to them for free, or, you know, they are an affiliate or whatever. And I won't say that I haven't done that because there's definitely a few things that I have all of. For example, like I have all of the current like distress oxides, but it becomes this thing where like, you know, we show hauls and we show stashes of like our stuff. And I have to like, be very careful like when I'm doing my streams to like let people know that like they don't need any of what I have to do what we're doing, because like the only thing I really want to teach people is how to think about making art, not how to make art. Maybe how to use glue. I mean, like that's the most important thing about mixed media is like how to stick things together and which things stick to other things. And like that's my like specialty is like, you know, adhesion. So my sister's in the background like, this is the most boring thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Oh my God, Belinda's talking about glue again. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that glue stuff, but I wanted to get back to the point. And that is that I was looking at memes, you know, like you do when you're me and all you do is look at memes all day. Maybe. But there's this one meme that talks about highlighter and how like some people use highlighter all over their face and it's fine. But the thought was, you know, the meme was when everything is highlighted, nothing is. And it's true. And it's the same for art. And it's the same for your home. It's the same for when you like put clothes on, that if it's too much of anything, it becomes camouflage and you lose the balance. And if that's like your thing, go for it. But this is specifically about clutter. So you'll notice that I keep adding elements on here, and I keep covering them up. And I'm doing that on purpose because that is the idea of acquisition, is that you immediately lose care for the one thing that you wanted, and you are ready for that next thing. And I've been like that myself, so I know how it feels. I know exactly how it feels. I might have a room full of things to use, but I still want that next new art product. I've got a wish list a mile long of things that I want. And that is societally just like pressed into us as hard as we can take it. Like we always want that next thing. We want those new shoes. We want, that new cute thing that so and so talked about on their YouTube channel, or the person on your Facebook posted, or the thing that was advertised to you on Instagram. And advertising is more pervasive now because it is more natural. People advertise to you without even realizing they're doing it. People like, Graveyard Girl or something, like she'll go on Instagram and, just a picture of her, people would be asking, well, where did you get that purse? What's that lipstick? And it's like, she's not directly trying to advertise, but it's like, we feel like we have to have those things to be connected to those people. And that's not how life works. That's not what things mean. Like things don't mean anything. And you'll find that like the most of the time, it's just like anything else. There are things you are going to gravitate to no matter how much stuff you have. I have, for example, like 20 makeup palettes. I still use the same one all the time. And I have a ton of really nice makeup. I have a ton of different foundations and I still use the same few ones all the time. And it's because as much as we love acquisition, those things may not actually mean anything to us. We just want to have them. And just like I was saying, like balance, there has to be balance in everything. And so even artwork, especially, I have a lot of friends, who make art, and I see a lot of people who make art. And one thing I notice is that, a lot of people really do lack balance if they haven't, taken any classes or anything. Not that you have to take art class, but they don't understand how to balance their artwork. And it ends up either like super crazy busy or, it's hard to explain. Like there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but it's like I was saying, everything is either covered up or everything is highlighted. And balance is like, people could also call it contrast, but balance is the same way in life. Like you have to think about, not acquisition so much as lifestyle. And if your lifestyle is, you live in a mansion and you want to fill it with things and you can take care of them, go for it. You may not care about those things once you have them, but whatever. And if you want to have a few nice things, that's like not what I'm talking about. Like I love Tom Ford lipstick and I have a bunch of them and I wear them. So like, I like that. People are allowed to like, what they like. And that's totally fine too. But it's almost like when people collect collectibles of something they like, and then they put them in a box and put them away. And that's, to me, that's the acquisition, that kind of thing that I'm talking about, where it's like, we're addicted to just getting more and more stuff. And that's why I was, this piece is what I was trying to kind of get that point across, where it's like, the more you add, the less you can see, and it makes it less special. And it's supposed to look kind of like old and gross and dirty. And it just gets muddier and muddier and muddier. And, and every time I add a new element, it'll like perk it back up, but then I add more stuff on top of it and you really can't see it. And that's kind of where I was going with it. And I didn't want the page to be, super cohesive or anything like that. I just wanted it to be how I feel about the situation, where it's like, it becomes ugly. I don't know. I'm not like trying to be crappy about it or anything. It's just how I feel about life, I guess. And the truth is that it's not enjoyable. Like it's fun to get things and bring them home and like have new stuff and open it up and put it away. Like it's great. Like that's fun to do, but then it's not really fun. It doesn't matter if you don't care about it and you forget about it. And that's, it's a really hard thing to unlearn once you learn it. And I know people that like grew up like super minimal and like I some of the most wealthy people I know are some of the most frugal people I know. Like I know people that just wear gray t-shirts and jeans, you know, everywhere and have tons of money. And part of that is that they grew up not wanting for anything. And so they've kind of never had that urge to just buy things. And just because somebody else had them, they weren't told that that was like how you measure success was, you know, what kind of makeup you have or what kind of bag you carry or what kind of shoes you have. Like none of that. It's easy for us to tell ourselves that like none of that matters. But like to some people, even if you tell yourself that, like it still matters to them. Like if they're, you know, if they have Kmart shoes or if they have, you know, nice fancy shoes or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, I was working on this and I did start to balance it a little bit. And I started like adding elements that I would normally do for art. And then I was like, but that's like kind of beside the point. And then I was like, just wanted to cover it up and kind of get rid of it. And this whole concept of nostalgia, which I talk about sometimes, and this kind of like blends in with it too, but about how people want to be nostalgic about things that happened in the past. But yeah, it's not even just the way things were, but like how we felt when we were kids, when there were things that I wanted when I was a kid that I probably still want somewhere, like that I remember other people having. Like I remember when I was a kid, more than anything, I wanted to grow up and have a house that had a pool next to it. Like for me, that was success, like having a pool. But like now I've managed pools, I've worked at pools. I don't want a pool in my backyard. But like there's still some part of me that's like, you are successful if you have a pool in your backyard. And those things just get engraved. And it's worse now because we find people that we look up to and they can, you know, like I said, they can like literally advertise to you what their lifestyle is like without it being on TV. Even they can tell their fans what kind of dog they have, you know, they can tell their fans all this stuff. And so it becomes even more ingrained where we go, I want to, you know, grow up and I want to live in this kind of house and I want to have these kind of things. And those things may not matter to you. Like they may only matter because you associate them with people that you respect or people or things that you associate with success. And so it was like I was saying, like the whole thing becomes blurred. And that's why I kind of talk about nostalgia a little bit, thrown in there with all of this stuff, because acquisition is very much about how it makes you feel when you get something, especially something that you deem as important, even if it's not important at all, even if it doesn't matter. Like nobody will ever be able to tell that you're wearing Tom Ford lipstick if you're wearing L'Oreal. Like no one will ever know that but you. But for some reason, that's important to us to like have that fancier thing, you know. And if you are the kind of person that shows it off, well, that's just kind of shitty. But I mean, you know, or whatever. But I don't know. Like it's hard for me to explain it in a way that makes sense, except that like for people where it's jumped into, you know, the mental illness aspect of it, the thought process of acquisition is like, I am successful if I have this thing and my house looks like this, or my life looks like this, or I have all these things. But like, you may be totally unhealthy in another way. Like you may, like, I will go back to the situation with my mom again, where, I mean, just the other day, she's now telling me about all this stuff that she's bought for this place she's going to be staying. And all I can think of is, I don't know why, you know, like, I don't know why she feels she needs more stuff. Like, obviously she does not need any more stuff. Obviously the stuff that she has is totally fine, you know, that can be cleaned up and be used. But she's, you know, she wants new furniture and she wants new, you know, she wants light fixtures and she wants, you know, paint and flooring and wallpaper and cabinets that, you know, that are different or whatever, you know, new doorknobs that she can turn easier. Like, all of these things that she has decided to tell herself that she needs to be, to feel like she's had success in building her house. And that's not to say that, like, I feel like everybody should be able to decorate their house however they want. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, like, her doorknobs at our other house were perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. You know, there's nothing wrong with the doorknobs that are in the house that she's at. But she feels like she has to have this new stuff because she's addicted to buying things. And the addiction is so strong that she can't stop herself from that acquisition, and it's so obsessive. And like I was talk to about this a lot, especially in my streams, but I have wish lists for stuff that I want. And if there's a project that I decide I want to try, I will fill my wish list with items that pertain to that project. And what I find is that if I wait and I give myself even just like a week or two to come back to that, I realize that I don't need to buy those things, and I'm probably not going to do that project. Like I have resin that I've never used. I have it, but I haven't used it. I have a ton of jewelry stuff that I've never used. And so I have to be careful, even myself, with being like, oh, well, I need this thing because I saw this person use it and I want to try it. And that's great. But if I know for a fact that I'm not going to use it right away, I'll put it on my wish list because I may just be excited because I just saw it. And what you'll find is if more people did that, like what you'll find is that you didn't want that thing that much. And I found things like even on like my Macy's wish list and stuff that at the time I wanted to try it because it was new and cool. But then I realized I didn't care about it at all. Like I didn't actually care. And I like go back and I'm like, why did I even want that? And that's like, you know, that's like the opposite, not quite the opposite, but it's a very similar thing to like finding bags of stuff that's brand new in your house that you didn't even know you had. It's like the same thing where like you didn't really care about it. Why do you need it? Why do we need it? It's just clutter. It's clutter. And like I was saying, this page, you can't really tell what's going on. It's just clutter. There's nothing, you know, about it. Everything is, it gets buried. It stops mattering. There's too many elements, it covers the theme. Too many elements covers the theme, and you can't see it. So I guess that was my little ranty rant. There's more coming. I've got tons of stuff that I have to edit and stuff still, so I'm sorry about that. I did actually add the page. I don't know where it went. I'll have to move it. Thanks. Bye.